Simulacra and simulation. In any case, the pacification or the deterrence that dominates us today is beyond war and peace. It is that at every moment war and peace are equivalent. War is peace, said Orwell. They are also the two differential poles implode into each other, or recycle one another. A simultaneity of contradictions that is at once the parody and the end of every dialogue. Thus, one can completely miss the truth of a war, namely that it was finished well before it started, that there is an end to war at the heart of the war itself, and that perhaps it never started. Many other events, the oil crisis, etc., never started, never existed except as artificial occurrences, abstract, as the artifacts of history, catastrophes and crises destined to maintain a historical investment under hypnosis. The media and the official news service are only there to maintain the illusion of actuality, of the reality of the stakes, of the objectivity of facts. All the events are to be read backward, or one becomes aware, as with the communists in power in Italy, the retro post-humanist rediscovery of gulags and Soviet dissidents, the almost contemporary discovery by a moribund ethnology of the lost difference of savages, that all these things arrive too late, with a history of a delay, a spiral of delay, that they long ago exhausted their meaning and only live from an artificial efferences of signs, that all these events succeed each other without logic in the most contradictory, complete equivalence and a profound indifference to their consequences. But this is because there are none. They exhaust themselves in their spectacular motion. All newsreel footage thus gives the sinister impression of kitsch, of retro and porno at the same time. Doubtless everyone knows this, and no one really accepts it. The reality of simulation is unbearable, crueler than Arted's The Theater of Cruelty, which was still an attempt to create a dramaturgy of life, the last gasp of an ideality of the body, of blood, of violence, and a system that was already taking it away, toward a reabsorption of all the stakes without a trace of blood. For us, the trick has been played. All dramaturgy, even all real writing of cruelty has disappeared. Simulation is the master, and we only have a right to the retro, to the phantom, parodic rehabilitation of all lost referentials. Everything still unfolds around us in the cold light of deterrence, including Artiad, who is the right, like everything else, to his revival, to a second existence as the referential of cruelty. This is why nuclear proliferation does not increase the risk of either an atomic collapse or an accident, save the interval when the young powers could be tempted to make a non-deterrent real use, as the Americans did in Hiroshima. But precisely only they had a right to the use value of the bomb. All of those who have acquired it since will be deterred from using it by the very fact of possessing it. Entry into the atomic club, so prettily named, very quickly effaces, as unionization does in the working world, any inclination towards violent intervention. Responsibility, control, censure, self-deterrence always grow more rapidly than the forces or the weapons at our disposal. This is the secret of the social order. Thus, the very possibility of paralyzing a whole country by flicking a switch makes it so the electrical engineers will never use this weapon. The whole myth of the total and revolutionary strike crumbles at the very moment when the means are available. But alas, precisely because those means are available, therein lies the whole process of deterrence. It is thus perfectly probable that one day we will see nuclear powers export atomic reactors, weapons, and bombs to every latitude. Control by threat will be replaced by a more effective strategy of pacification through the bomb and through the possession of the bomb. The little powers believe that they are buying their independent striking force, will buy the virus of deterrence, of their own deterrence. The same goes for the atomic reactors that we have already sent them. So many neutron bombs knocking out all historical virulence, all risk of explosion. In this sense, the nuclear everywhere inaugurates an accelerated process of implosion. It freezes everything around it. It absorbs all living energy. The nuclear is at once the culminating point of available energy and the maximization of energy control systems. Lockdown and control increase in direct proportion to, and undoubtedly even faster than, liberating potentialities. This was already the aporia of the modern revolution. It is still the absolute paradox of the nuclear. Energies freeze in their own fire, they determine themselves. One can no longer imagine what project, what power, what strategy, what subject could exist behind this enclosure, this vast saturation of a system by its own forces, now neutralized, unusable, unintelligible, non-explosive, except for the possibility of an explosion towards the center, of an implosion where all these energies would be abolished in a catastrophic process. In the literal sense, that is to say, in the sense of a reversion of the whole cycle towards a minimal point, of the reversion of energies towards a minimal threshold. Bottom of page 40.